Curious, is this going to be something that's going to be occurring off on, that sort of thing?
You know, Dana, I think we'll have a good idea here in the next 48 hours. It's his ankle. He tried to play in the Northern Kentucky game, really both games, and just wasn't healthy. He had off season wrist surgery. Then he banged up his knee about a month ago, and then his ankle has been bothering him for some time. So it's one of those things. He's kind of day to day. I'm really hoping that this week he can have 3 days of practice and see how it's feeling, and see how each day he progresses. Um, Obviously, he's a big part of what we do, and anytime you take somebody out that good, it's certainly different for your team. So, I think it's too early to say if he's going to play this weekend or not.
So this injury happened this year then?
Oh yeah, yeah. All these injuries have. The surgery was in the off season, but the ankle was about a week before NKU. So I give him a lot of credit trying to play in that series, but we just felt, and I think he felt, I'm in this regard, Dana. I always listen to the trainer, but more importantly, I listen to the player. They're the ones that are playing. They're the ones. It's their body. So we've had good conversation. Myself and his dad, and Darius, and obviously our trainer's done a real good job with it. So we'll have to see how he does this week.
How much does that kind of, if he can't play, how much does that kind of change? I know you played 2 games against Cleveland State without him, so.
Yeah, the good part is Shamar and Alex, and Christian Bentley, and Kenny, and some of those guys that really have been thrown into the fire. It just kind of changes everything you do, Dana, from a strategic plan. You kind of go into the year and really the season knowing, hey, this is going to be our starting five, and then these are the 3 or 4, 5 guys you're going to bring off the bench. So it certainly changes everybody's role. I thought a lot of guys played a lot of minutes, were thrown into the fire at Cleveland State. Obviously, we're not happy losing 2 games. But, I told the guys this. I mean, the reality of it is we practiced, I think, 5 or 6 times in November. We've had injuries that we certainly weren't expecting. We have 8 out of 10 games on the road, and our defense hasn't been very good. So there's really 4 big factors, I think, that play into our 1-3 start. The nice part about our group is we don't have an excuse mentality. It's kind of a next man up mentality, next game mentality. So I look for our guys to respond this week. The nice thing is we get 3 practices, and then, you finally get to play a Horizon League game in your building. That's a really, really critical thing, I think, for where we're at. We need to come out and be ready to play.
Usually you kind of, in a situation like this, you kind of bank on a crowd to help you. And again, in the year we are, there will be no people there. So how do you kind of energize yourselves, and how do the players do that?
Well, when most of them got here 3, 4 years ago, then obviously the group that we have coming in, our freshman class, they understand what we want to try to accomplish as a group. They understand that, the reality of it is we only have 16 games left. That's 8 weeks of basketball. The way you do it, play the back-to-back games, you really only have, 2 practices a week. So the time is of the essence. The urgency needs to really kick in. I think it did yesterday when I broke it down like that. As a senior, you start to say, wow, this thing is winding down. They're getting used to playing, basketball games with no crowd. As I said before, the Cleveland State game, very, very disappointing that the parents were not there on the 26th and 27th. We sent a video. I got this idea from a friend of mine, and I had Coach Slay kind of put it together. We had a message from every family, about a minute, to 2-minute presentation. We did that on Christmas night. We were here around noon on Christmas Day, and then Christmas night, it was about a 10-minute video, and it was every single player's parents or relatives wishing them a Merry Christmas. And, kind of sad to see that, for the first time in their lives, they weren't able to see their families. I'm not so sure that, many people understand the impact of that. So proud of our guys, responding in the second game, disappointed. We didn't win that game, but still feel pretty good about this group through all the adversity that they've had. But I think anytime you play in your own building, it's a different feel. These are the rims. This is the court. We spend a lot of time. They put a lot of time in outside of practice on this court. So fans or not, I think you have a home court advantage, in this environment.
Coach, when you look at Green Bay, what do you feel you have to attack and even take away on their end to kind of bounce back here at home?
Well, I think they're a three-headed monster. I think they've got three really, really good players. They're all perimeter players. I think Jefferson, Pipes, and Davis are the real deal. I think in this landscape, this environment, records go out the window. They played 5 high major teams. They were right in the game with Wright State. They were in both games against Milwaukee. So I think, you throw out the records this year because I think they had to play a lot of games to bring in some money for their university. I think Oakland, you're seeing the same thing there. This is a team that, is very, very dangerous because of their guard play. They're going to, pack it in. They're going to play a pack line defense, force you to make shots. So, all these games are difficult this year.
Not to say that they're desperate, Jerrod, because they haven't won a game this year, but are they more dangerous because of that situation where they haven't won a thing and they'll try different things?
Yeah, I think both teams are. I think we're in the same boat as them. This is early in the year. You can't get these games back. So you got to be ready to play. I think it's more about us. Getting back to our winning ways, getting healthy bodies. Grace and Kelly is progressing very, very nicely. He's going to be able to play here real soon, I believe. So, it's another thing that not a lot of people talk about is, he was a guy that we were counting on, being in our rotation. He's a young man that can make shots, knows how to play, averaged 20 a game at the D2 level, was ecstatic about playing Division I basketball. I think when we get him back in a couple weeks, it's going to give us another dynamic, the ability to stretch the floor. Jameer Thomas is definitely out for the year. He had ACL surgery the other day. So that took a toll on us as well. But I think as the season progresses, I said this all along when I saw the schedule, 8 out of 10 on the road to start league play, we're going to get better. As we continue to get in the gym and our ability to continue to keep playing basketball games, hopefully at this point, each week we got a chance to get better.
I know, that's kind of been a crawl, not only this year, but in years gone by of the league, whatever you want to say, not being kind and that sort of thing. In the future, can things be discussed about that? And I know this year's probably different because of the COVID and what they had to do, but Jerrod, this is nothing, even before you got here, it seems like this league has kind of put YSU on the back burner and says, kind of not, I guess is the word is, just hasn't been kind to them. So can things be done in the off season for discussion so this doesn't happen continuously in the future?
Yeah, Dana, the first thing is, when we decided to play in a global pandemic in the environment that we're in, the number one thing was safety, right? That's the number one priority, I think, of every president, of every athletic director, of every head coach. I think it's something that you think about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not only with yourself, but when you're in a leadership role of the people that you're trying to lead. Disappointed to say the least, because safety would mean a balanced schedule. We're going to be in a hotel. We were in one in Cleveland, which I thought Cleveland, the hotel we stayed at was tremendous. We stayed away from people. There was no interaction. We had a security guard up there that did a tremendous job. We social distance during all of our team meals. But the more you travel, the more likelihood of it is to get the virus. It's just common sense. So I was very, very disappointed from that standpoint. There are 2 other teams that are going to have to go 8 out of 10 on the road. But to start the year, I think all of us have seen the rise in the cases around the country. So that was my biggest disappointment in our schedule. It had nothing to do with a playing standpoint, right? You're going to have to play everybody at some point in the year, but from a safety standpoint, that's where my concern was. And so it's kind of one of those things, Dana, that I think the league did a tremendous job with playing the back-to-backs. You saw a lot of leagues go to this at our level. And I think that's a really, really good thing. But certainly 8 out of 10 on the road during a global pandemic is not ideal.